Zenyatta is one of the most influential Overwatch characters with an all-around superior toolkit. He can buff, debuff, and DPS simultaneously, making him a high priority target. Therefore, every Zenyatta should be focused on staying alive, and his team should make it a priority to keep him alive. I'm Omni with Faulty Lid, and I'm going to give you a detailed analysis of how to maximize Zenyatta's usage and lifespan in every team composition. The first topic to discuss is the Discord Orb. As the Zenyatta, it is your duty to be able to distinguish when and where to put your Discord Orb. The only way to be able to do this correctly is to sit back behind your team where you can observe the entire battlefield. If you do this, your Discords should generally fall into 5 categories. 1. The highest priority enemy support player. This is typically the enemy Zenyatta, Mercy, or Ana. 2. Any enemy player way out of position and off on his own, where none of his teammates can help him. If you Discord this person and focus fire him down with your team, you get that first pick. 3. An enemy player that you see 2 or more teammates already attacking, or a friendly player in a 1v1 fight. 4. An enemy player that you see who is very low on health, who may be trying to flee away to get healed. This is extremely important because it allows your team to confirm kills and get a man advantage. Lastly, an enemy player who flanked around behind you. Remember, your number 1 priority as Zenyatta is staying alive because you can benefit your team in all aspects of gameplay. Therefore, you need to Discord and DPS any enemy players directly targeting you. Now, it goes without saying that no matter which category your Discord falls into, you should be calling out to your team where it is so that they know who to focus fire. It is also important to note that if you have a Roadhog on your team, you should watch him closely and Discord the targets he chains while he's reeling them in. This would technically fall under category 3, but it's worth a specific mention because sometimes it can make the difference in getting that first pick. The next topic to discuss is the Harmony Orb. Now, it goes without saying that your main focus with the Harmony Orb is to keep everybody alive so that your team is never at a disadvantage. That said, it is similar to the Discord in that it should fall into 4 general categories when you're using it to sit back behind your team like you should. And this excludes the obvious example of a teammate with less than half health. Firstly, coupled with the Discord Orb, you should Harmony Orb a teammate in a 1v1 fight, as it is a huge swing benefiting your team. 2. A teammate who is using their ultimate that the enemy team is likely to focus fire. A good example of this is Pharah. As she ults, she's very vulnerable because she can't move. Additionally, pretty much any other character, Genji, Reaper, Soldier, McCree, Roadhog, when they're ulting, the team is likely to focus fire them and you should give them that passive heal. 3. The teammate in the most vulnerable position. This could be your flanker, who may have overextended to try and get a kill. You have the ability to heal him from afar and you should do it. However, you have to make the judgment about whether he's actually too far out of position because you don't want to overextend yourself to go and save him. And 4. In situations where none of your teammates need healing, you should have your Harmony Orb defaulted onto one of your frontline tanks. Situations often arise where multiple members of your team are in need of healing. When this happens, it is best to bounce the orb around to everyone very quickly, giving each person just a half second at a time. It is your job to judge the highest priority teammates, which may be the ones you cannot afford to lose, or the ones that are not able to heal themselves or defend themselves. For example, I would heal a McCree over a Reinhardt because Reinhardt can shield himself temporarily. I would heal Pharah over Zarya because Zarya can bubble herself and has a passive armor recharge. And I would heal Winston over Reaper because Reaper can go invulnerable for 5 seconds and Winston can get hit from inside of his shield. Additionally, any teammates with a key ultimate available should be a priority because it could mean the difference and allow your team to win that team fight. Lastly, you must also consider that some characters, like D.Va, Reinhardt, and Soldier, are able to return to the battle much faster than other characters. Therefore, you should give healing priority to those slower ones like Zarya, McCree, and Ana. This effectively reduces the amount of time your team may have to battle with unfavorable numbers. These type of judgments happen all the time as Zenyatta, and judging them correctly separate the Zen Masters from just the pupils. Now on to defensive positioning and defensive roles. When defending, the enemy team will likely try and kill you first because you are such an influential character. This makes it your job to stay alive as best you can, and your teammates' job to focus on keeping you alive. Because of this, it is best to stay at the back line where you can see everything, but also within reach of cover. The enemy team will often try and flank you with Tracer, Genji, Reaper, or Pharah, who all can kill you very quickly. They may also have a Winston who dives straight onto you and who can melt your face in just seconds. For these reasons, enemy players who are an immediate threat to you are the first priority for your Discord and for your team. If you're getting ganked from behind, the second you call it out, your friendly Zarya, McCree, or Soldier should be the first to come to your rescue. I highlighted these three, not only because they have the best abilities to defend you, with the shield, flashbang, or healing aura, but also because they should be clumped up right with your team, behind your primary tank, and that should be within reach of you. You should also be working closely with your second support and help keep each other alive. All in all, this means staying at the back line and keeping your head on a swivel at all times. Now to offensive positioning. I will first highlight three distinct offense types, which are pick and push, dive composition, and nanoboost composition. Among these three, Zenyatta has some unique roles. However, one of these is not dependent on the composition. That is staying at the back line and using your orbs the way that I've already explained. Now for each comp specifically, starting with pick and push. In the pick and push offense type, you have two jobs: heal your flankers and discord the most vulnerable enemy player. You want to harmony orb any teammate that's overextended chasing for that first pick, and you want to help facilitate the first pick by using your discord orb. That is what this whole strategy revolves around. And then once that first pick happens, it's back to normal usage of your orbs. The second offensive strategy is the dive composition. In this offense type, you again have two roles. They are healing your diving tank and discording the highest priority enemy support. Your harmony orb should always be placed on the diving tank, whether it be a Winston or Diva, and if other teammates need healing, you need to make sure that they get healed up before your tank initiates the dive. Your diving tank will be diving onto the enemy support players, ideally their pocket healers, so if you can discord them before the dive, you should do it. Once the initial seconds of the dive have passed, it's back to the normal usage of your orbs, and you should also be focused on staying alive. The third offensive strategy is the nanoboost composition. Yet again in this comp, you have two primary roles: heal the nanoboosted teammate and discord his targets. If the nanoboosted teammate is a squishy like Genji or Reaper, you should pocket heal him throughout the nanoboost, as the enemy team can still focus fire him down. However, if the nanoboosted teammate is a Reinhardt or other tank, he usually has enough incoming damage reduction to stay alive. So when this is the case, you should monitor him but focus your healing on other teammates. You also have to watch your nanoboosted teammate to see who he is attacking and discord his targets. This in effect reduces the amount of time it takes him to get a kill by 30%, which can go a long way toward how many kills he gets with nanoboost. Once the boost period ends, you should heal that teammate back up to full health and then proceed with the typical usage of orbs. Now for the topic you've all been waiting for: effective ultimate usage. Transcendence is a reactive ultimate, not a proactive one. If you pop your ult and the enemy did not pop an ult, you need to rethink your life choices. The only situation where it's acceptable to use Transcendence proactively is if you're on the verge of winning a crucial team fight and it's down to a 4v4 with overtime looming. Often, you should find yourself sitting on it for long periods of time, waiting for that right moment. And when that moment happens, you'll only have a fraction of a second to decide to use it, which is no easy task. If used at the wrong time, though, you will probably regret it. As I said, Zenyatta's Transcendence should be used reactively, and its ability to heal a large area very quickly makes it one of the best tools for countering enemy ultimates. It is best used to counter enemy ultimates that freeze your teammates. These are Zarya's Graviton Surge, Mei's Blizzard, and Reinhardt's EARTHSHATTER. It is also very useful in countering ultimates that do significant damage gradually, which are Genji's DRAGONBLADE and Soldier's Tactical VISOR. You should be sitting on your ultimate for a while waiting to use it against one of these. However, Transcendence is not effective against any ultimate or attack that is explosive or that deals a lot of damage instantly. Therefore, Transcendence should never be used to counter Tracer's Pulse Bomb, D.Va's Self-Destruct, Junkrat's Riptire, or McCree's High Noon. There is another group of ultimates that are very situational where Transcendence can sometimes be effective. These are either ultimates that deal damage incredibly fast, like Reaper's Death Blossom and Pharah's Rocket Barrage, or ultimates with knockback effects like Roadhog's Whole Hog and Winston's Primal Rage. With Death Blossom and Rocket Barrage, your ultimate's effectiveness is dependent on your team's proximity to each other, the number affected, and the specific characters affected. If your entire team is standing on each other's toes and a Reaper Death Blossoms, Transcendence can usually save them because they're all inside your AoE heal. However, if your team is a bit more spread out and you think you would have to move around rapidly to heal everybody, it will be impossible to save everyone, and your best chance is to stay close to as many as you can, healing your most impactful teammates. If you're able to save a Zarya or Ana, for example, they have the potential to save the rest of your team with their abilities by bubble shielding or sleeping the enemy. You also have to weigh the number of teammates affected by the ultimate, because if it's your whole team, you should be able to discord the Reaper or Pharah and focus fire them down before anybody dies, even if they have a pocket healer. However, if it's only a few teammates affected, and you're not losing the team fight yet, your best bet will be to save them. With Whole Hog and Primal Rage, you also have to judge the situation correctly and quickly. With the knockback effect, if your team gets knocked into a wall where they get stuck, Transcendence can be effective in saving them. Otherwise, you'll often get knocked back away from your team such that nobody is inside your healing radius. On maps like Ilios, where environmental kills are prominent, using Transcendence to counter these ultimates is even more risky because even though you are invulnerable, you can still get pushed off the map and then nobody gets heals. As if there weren't enough factors for you to consider in this half-second reaction time, you also have to remember that you cannot issue new Harmony or Discord orbs while in Transcendence. But any orbs already placed will remain on their targets while you're in Transcendence. Therefore, before popping your ult to counter, you should also have the Harmony Orb on a teammate and attempt to quickly discord the enemy player whom you are countering. This is a tricky thing to do and it will take some practice, but don't get discouraged by it. Perhaps one of the most understated uses of Zenyatta's ultimate is its effectiveness in contesting the objectives. If the enemy team is operating correctly, you, as Zen, will be their priority 1 target, leading them to focus fire you at the start of every attack. This means you will often be the first to die in teamfights, and if you get team killed, this means you will be the first back to the point. In situations like this, it's important to gauge the number of enemy players alive, the number of ultimates your team has, and the amount of time left on the clock. If all of these factors favor your team, using Transcendence to contest the point for 7 to 8 seconds often allows your team to return to the point and swing the battle into your favor. It has an especially high success rate when defending the second objective on a map, or defending the final payload checkpoint because your team's spawn is so close. This is a last-ditch effort, and unless I see that I am the only thing standing between the enemy and the last checkpoint, I always ask my team if they want me to ult to contest. Either way, it is important for you to communicate that you're doing it so that your team knows and they can come out of spawn quickly and safely contest in your healing radius. This may even potentially allow a teammate to use a game-saving ultimate. Now just a few more quick points about Transcendence. When ulting, it is important to note that good Reinhardts can and will try to pin you and push you away from your team, preventing them from being healed. So you have to watch out for this and avoid them if possible. It's also important to note that even if your teammates are inside your healing radius, they can still be focused fired down and killed by the enemy team. But at that point, there's nothing more that you can do for them. Lastly, you might be asking yourself, what about when the enemy team couples their ultimates together, then what? Well, there are a lot of different scenarios for this, and I intend to cover them in a future video, so stay tuned. If there is one thing everyone should take away from this video, it's that you should never overextend while playing Zenyatta, and avoid putting yourself into situations where there's no teammate in your immediate vicinity to help you. You are among the most influential characters on the map, so don't make stupid decisions. And lastly, before wrapping this up, there's one more underrated yet incredibly useful tip that I'd like to share. Zenyatta can't reload and issue orbs simultaneously, but the orbs interrupt your reload. This is a really great thing that you need to implement into your gameplay. What makes you unique as Zenyatta is your buff and debuff potential with your orbs, not your DPS ability. Therefore, always ensure that both your orbs are on their targets before completing a reload. They are way more beneficial to your team than your individual DPSs. Well, that's all for this in-depth guide. If you've implemented these pointers, or if you have other tips you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments below. Or for detailed breakdowns of other characters or more information on the offense types, check out our channel. Thanks for watching and keep fragging.